Hi, students. Welcome to Cerebral Knowledge Foundation. Today is Social Studies class. But before we begin our class, just a reminder to like, share, comment, and click the notification icon. Let's begin class. Today is our common heritage. So that is our topic. So we recognize the contribution of individuals and or groups who have helped to shape Jamaica's development. And one such group is the Tainos. Today's class will focus mainly on the Tainos and how they contributed to the Jamaican culture. Our learning goal, we will start by defining some words: the early inhabitants of Jamaica, the route taken by the Tainos, Tainos settlements, Taino physical appearance, and also the Taino basic needs and their contribution to our Jamaican culture. Let's begin with who is a Taino? Tainos, indigenous people who lived in the Caribbean and other territories before the Europeans, the Spanish or Spaniards, arrived. Let's look at another term: inhabitants, people who live in a place. The Tainos were the first inhabitants of the island. Another term is Europeans, persons from the continent of Europe. Indigenous people, the original or first people to live in a place or land. This term is used to describe the Tainos. Indigenous means the first settlers in a country. Another term that we'll look at is migration. Migration is the movement of people from one country or place of residence to settle in another. Let's begin with the early inhabitants of Jamaica. Tainos was the earliest known inhabitants of Jamaica. There is no exact time period for the Taino arrival to Jamaica. However, we know that they lived here before the arrival of the Europeans in 1494. Let's take a look at the route taken by the Tainos. So the Tainos travel from Orinoco Valley on the north coast of South America via Guyana and Venezuela, then settle in the Greater Antilles in the Caribbean. So they settle in places such as Jamaica, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and Hispaniola. They travel from North and South America in between the islands of Guyana, Jamaica, Cuba, Hispaniola, Bahamas, Puerto Rico, and Trinidad and Tobago, where they later settled. They traveled to the islands in canoes built from huge trees. We will take a look at Taino settlements. More than 200 Taino villages, caves, and burial sites have been found. The most populated Taino settlements were Seville in St. Anne, White Mall, and Guanapoville in St. Catherine. Many Tainos lived along the coastline where they were able to fish. Others lived on hills where they hunted. Taino settled in these areas for food, farming, traveling, and materials for building houses. Some areas, some in Jamaica where Tainos also settle, is the Two Sisters Cave in Portmore, St. Catherine, Treasure Beach, Cambridge Hill, Yalas, Anato Bay, among others. Tainos' physical appearance. Tainos were short or medium in height, sturdy build in body. They had olive brown skin, straight black hair, and forehead flattened at birth. They wore little clothing. Both men and women wore skirts. However, the cacique wives wore the longest skirts. Let's take a look at Taino's way of life. The Tainos were peaceful, happy, friendly, and hardworking. They organized their society to ensure that each group had a duty. All communities were ruled by the cacique. So the cacique were the Taino chief. Let's take a look at Taino's needs and wants. Do you know what is a need or a want? Let's start by comparing needs and wants. What is a need? A need is important and cannot do without. Things necessary for our survival. What is a want? A desire for something, things we would like to have. Hence, a need is something that is required for survival, while a want is something we cannot do without. Let's look at Taino's needs and wants. The environment was important to Taino's survival. They were able to satisfy basic needs for food, clothing, and shelter. Tainos used their environment to satisfy their basic needs, the materials from the environment to make their clothes and houses. These needs were met through farming, hunting, and fishing to get food. The men did the hunting and fishing while women did the farming and domestic chores, such as cooking, weaving clothes from cotton, and sweeping. So men had more time for leisure than women. So Taino basic needs: food, shelter, clothing. Let's start with food. We will look at fishing, farming, and hunting. As it relates to fishing, Tainos use the river and sea to catch fish, sea turtles, among others. Farming, they planted cassava, corn, sweet potatoes, arrowroot, and pepper for pepper pot soup. As it relates to hunting, Tainos hunted animals such as coney, yellow snake, and iguanas for meat. Let's look at Taino shelter. Tainos had two types of house, bohio and cani. The bohio was a large round-shaped house built for the general population, while the cani was the largest rectangular-shaped house where the cacique and his family lived. And as I mentioned before, the cacique is the Taino chief. Houses were made from palm leaves and straw, were used to make the thatched roofs, wooden posts were used for support, and clay was used for the walls and floors. There were no furniture in the Taino houses except for a hammock for a bed and a few stone seats. Tainos also had clay pots, zimmies, and ceremonial stools. The Tainos worshipped zimmies to represent their gods. The zimmies were made for of clay, cotton, bones, wood, or stone, created like humans, birds, or reptiles. These were sometimes worn around their necks to protect from evil spirits, hurricanes, and other disasters. Taino village consisted of houses and a large field for playing ball games. Their ball game was called batos. They also enjoyed smoking tobacco, feasting, and playing musical instruments. Let's take a look at clothing. They used cotton to weave loin cloth and skirts. They wore feathers, beads, or stone necklaces, and dye covered their bodies and special occasions. Taino influence on Jamaican culture. Let's begin with what is culture? Do you know? Culture is the way of life of a group of people. There are some aspects of the Taino culture that have remained as part of Jamaican culture today. Jamaicans eat foods such as guava, bami, that comes from cassava, roasted fish and sweet potato, and pepper pot soup. The word barbecue that comes from Taino culture, and in the National Museum of Jamaica there are evidence of Taino tools and potteries. potteries. The use of hammocks to relax. We also wear Taino jewelry made from shells, beads, stones, and special carved pendants. We use Taino words such as hammock, tobacco, barbecue, canoe, and hurricane. Also on the Jamaican coat of arms, the Tainos displayed on the Jamaica coat of arms, the male and female, how they are dressed. Let's recap our class today. So you should be able to define terms such as Tainos, inhabitants, European, indigenous people, migration. Also, remember the early inhabitants of Jamaica, Tainos' physical appearance, Taino settlements, Taino needs and wants, and also Taino influence on Jamaican culture. Before we end our class today, I've a few questions that you can place the answers in the comments section. Let's go ahead and state the questions. The first question, state the early inhabitants of Jamaica. We did discuss that. Second question, who is a cacique? Number three, give the names of three countries where Tainos settled. Four, What is the name of the Taino ball game? 5. State what the Taino does to provide food for themselves. 6. Select the activity that the Taino did not use the river for. A. Fishing. B. Watering crops. Or C. Sand mining. Number 7. Identify the cooking term that came from Taino culture. A. Deep fried. B. Barbecue. Or C. Jerk. Hope you have a better understanding of Tainos um, based on today's lesson. Just a reminder to like, subscribe, comment, share, and click the notification icon. Thanks for watching with me today. Have, see you soon.